So yeah, shit. That was like the second to last part, and holy fuck. Like, if they just put the end at the end, it's just like, it's open-ended, open to your interpretation. I'd be like, I'm cool, that was enough, but there's another part.
That would have been hilarious, actually.
Yeah. Everyone would have been pissed, but it would have been like, holy crap. So, obviously, this is the second to last episode. Rob wanted to join for this, because this is the big finale, and, yeah, holy shit. That's all I can really say to it. I'm just watching it.
You go first. I'm not allowed to
okay.
have an opinion, apparently, until you say something, so...
I didn't say that!
No, but everyone else did. So.
Oh, okay, well, them I don't care about. But, no, pretty much like... So, okay, my imagination, when people build stuff up or say, oh, this is so scary, or oh, this is so epic, or oh, this is so funny, like, I really hype up a lot in my imagination, and I've sort of trained myself to say, okay, it's probably not going to be as good as you thought it was going to be, so... I kind of thought this would be the same because you're thinking, well, there's a lot of epic battles you can do. Well, maybe this kind of epic battle or this kind of epic battle and stuff. And this is really like, you can just see where like the budget for this season went. It just went into these last two episodes.
Those Koreans worked overtime.
Yeah, no, I mean,
they probably got handed this and were just like, are you insane?
It's like, okay, here's how the season's going to work. We're going to really dull the palette. It's going to be like just a lot of reds and grays, but it's okay. It's the darker one. We're going to have a lot of character development, so that means a lot of not moving and standing still. And,
render me
a couple filler, a couple filler episodes, one or two, you know, just to buy us some time, and then it's all gonna go in this shit.
And now render me a full air fleet.
Yeah, I mean. It's and every
full
time
3D environment, put your 2D characters into it. I want a fleet of 3D Zeppelins.
And they blended well. I mean, it's the render on the actual shits. I mean, it was a touch choppy, but it's a Nickelodeon show. I know people are like, oh, why do you have to say that? Say it's a Nickelodeon show. Because it is. Even the really good Nickelodeon shows now, you're like,
I thought it was Fox TV.
But I mean, it's like, dude, for a show like this to be like, you know, anime, at least give the appearance of like high-budget anime action shows that you get from Japan, or like a movie, or Miyazaki or something.
I've seen a ton of anime, and this would be higher end even in Japan.
Yeah, I mean,
there were some really low-budget animes. So.
Yeah, I mean, so this is like, holy shit. So... I don't know. I'm still floored by this show. I'm just floored by the show in general, and this climax is just even more of a testament to it, because it's just, how did this show get done? I mean, how did it get this big, and how did they budget it, and how did they plan it, how did they put this all together?
Overseas animators, lots of overseas.
No, but I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking the story matches everything. It just leads into this, and everything feels justified. The one thing that, well, especially I noticed this time too, that at first I was sort of like, I was having a little issue with, but I realized it really comes together, is the showing the 3 generations of the Fire Lords, including Azula now, even though technically she didn't become the Fire Lord, but you see the
almost there.
But you see the progression. You have you got the Fire Lord that was with the original, what was it, Airbender, the last Avatar that they had, you know, and he kills him off. But you see the friendship there, and he's
Granddaddy Fire Lord.
Yeah, I mean, he's not totally nuts. He has this vision, and it's askewed, and it's going to really be costly. He kind of goes a little nuts, but you see he has this intention of like, you know, bringing this order, this good order. It just happens to be my order, and those who don't understand, kill them. It's like, okay, yes, that's where the crazy part comes in, but you understand that it's like, he wants to do it because it's like, we can be one world. And then you go to like, you know, the Mark Hamill Fire Lord, who's like sort of this, yeah, who's sort of this evil genius who really just wants the power. He just wants the power element of it. He wants to control everything. Yeah, he doesn't want control for the people. He wants to control it for himself. And then you get Azula, the next heir, who's just now, it's like one generation crazy passed to another generation crazy passed to just total batshit insane now. And it's great because you see the progression and the lack of commitment of loving another, and that's where so much of this was coming from. And you even see when when Mark Hamill Firelord, blanking on his name. I'm not even gonna try it because you guys will go nuts. But Mark Hamill Firelord, just
Ozai.
Ozai. Okay,
that one I do know.
Okay, so Ozai, you see when he's talking to his father in the one where the mother is banished. That even the father's like, what are you talking about? You disgrace, you stupid, blah, blah, blah. I mean, even he's really talking down to him. And, sort of justifiably so, but you see he's really talking down to him. You just see this progression, and as that anger and that frustration passes down to each generation, and they get less love put in them, they just get crazier and filled with more fear, and it works out so perfect.
Seeing it a second time now, I was thinking about that. I had noticed it the first time that what's really happening, and there's no spoiler here because you've already noticed it, is it's really the story of a very dysfunctional, I would say very mentally ill family.
Yeah.
And it starts with the grandfather. Because I know you, it's like, well, he had a vision, and if you're going to let your best friend die...
Oh, he's still nuts.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just
he's nuts, and that insanity just seems to plague, and it's almost like a commentary on the way insanity seems to run in families. And it's a chicken and the egg. Are they really insane, or is this one abusive relationship just creating another and another? And but for the grace of God, would Zuko go? I mean, I think Iroh is the one who is able to sort of keep Zuko in check. But I mean, we've seen what Zuko was earlier in the first season. I mean, that could have been Azula.
Well, and you have two siblings here too. You have Iroh, and you have Mark Hamill Firelord. Ozai. You have Iroh and you have Ozai, and one goes really fucking nuts. The other, seems to be for the most part pretty level-headed. Was possibly a little nuts at first because he was leading this army.
Each had a moment. I think that's the thing is they each
all
had a moment
feelings.
that changed them. Zuko had his moment that changed him, and Iroh had his. So they each sort of encountered that moment. I think another thing is if you look at Azula and Zuko, I think one of the issues is because Azula's crazier, I think there's some part of Zuko that eventually, if you give him the right shove, will rebel against that. The way some kids will rebel against their parents. If their parents are conservative, they'll be liberal. If they're liberal, sometimes they'll be conservative. And I think that's the case partially with Zuko, is I think he's able to look at Azula and go, holy crap. But for the grace of God, that could be me, there going nuts.
And I think so much of it too, probably, don't if you go back and find different, I'll understand. But all these characters sort of in this Firelord family have these failings. They have these major failings, and it's whether or not they let themselves to be ruled by those failings. Even if it's just fear of someone. Azula, God, that scene where she sees the mother in the mirror, and obviously she's not there, but...
freaky.
No, but she forces that hallucination to say that she loves her. And it's like, that's the saddest fucking thing. As much as you want to strangle Azula, that's the saddest fucking thing, and that's her big failing. She could never get the mother's love, and she let that rule her, and that's why Zuko broke the chain, is because he didn't let it rule him. He had his failings even with his failing, turning sides, but he broke loose.
And the thing is, she's fighting herself when that happens. It's her hallucination, so her hallucination is saying, no, I loved you, and she's like, no!
Yeah, no, it's just such a great scene.
I mean, that's... Yeah, as the episode goes on, it's just like, bong, bong, cuckoo, cuckoo.
God, the animation of these episodes, this episode, I'm sure the next one as well, is just unbelievable, but just going to, the character animation on Azula in this, just unbelievable. Just how thick the strokes are and how much they jar, sort of like the Joker almost, and to get the hair, ragged and in front of her and
put
stuff.
Her lipstick on wrong.
Yeah, it's just this wonderful, and it's one of those where it's like, I love to go back and sort of watch in slow motion, because I get the feeling it's sort of one of those where you see a bunch of different expressions going on, and just the eye twitching, you could probably see it in there, and it's so well done. just the animation is great, but particularly on her as a character in this, is just so wonderful. God, I'm trying to think what the hell else to even talk about.
Well, if you're out of ideas, I'll come up with something.
Well, the only other thing I'll talk about in terms of, because this is such, I mean, visually this episode is just amazing, and like I said, all the characters, come to this big climax and this big ending, and it's turning out wonderful. The color palette throughout a lot of this, they're in the Fire Nation, so obviously there's going to be a lot of red. And, in the Earth Kingdom, there's a lot of green, and the water's a lot of blue. Red as a primary color is tricky to pull off when you have to be surrounded by it, because red is meant to stand out against other primary colors. That's why it's used in advertising, because red isn't everywhere. But when it starts to become everywhere, it can sort of become an eyesore, and you sort of get tired of looking at it. But here, man, with the comet coming in, and the use of the fire and the different colors of the fire, and the way just the palette of oranges and yellows and stuff, I mean, just this episode looked amazing just from a colorful point of view, and just on top of that...
It is Book 3, Fire.
Yeah, I mean, but it's one of those where it's like, I got it, it had to be darker, they're in the bad guy territories, there's going to be a lot of red, and sometimes it really worked. I mean, it's not like this was a failure of color, it's not that, it's that it was supposed to be darker, but there's kind of only so long you can look at just red and gray, but here it's just like they, sort of like in that one episode where they showed the dragons blowing the different colors of fire, it's sort of like that. You see the different colors of red and the different blends you can do, and it just, man, did it look good.
The color was extremely well done. The interesting thing, I'm sure you noticed it, Azula's not red. She's blue.
Yeah, no, they have a... Yeah, that's right. She's
and the blue flame
fire,
not only is a great choice because it separates her from Zuko, but in those scenes in the palace where she's going crazier and crazier, the blue flame gives it this really deathly, almost sort of dead body morgue-esque glow to it.
Yeah, it looks sickly.
It looks
sweaty.
It looks sickly, almost like she's in a tomb, and it's just brilliant because every time you see her, she just has this ghostly blue glow around her that separates her from the rest of sort of the Fire Nation red color. And then when you get into the battle itself, you've got her with this sort of blue color.
And the blue going against the orange.
Yeah, taking on Zuko's orange.
I wonder if they had a chance to go back, because I know it wasn't always blue. The flame wasn't always blue in the other episodes. I wonder if they had a chance to go back if they would have redone that.
No, because I think the reason they did it, I don't know the real reason why they did it, but one of my theories is that as she goes more nuts, you wanted to separate her from the rest of the pack. And I think it does that because she's not, I mean, she's always crazy, but the level of nuts, like
she's losing control of herself.
Yeah, and that color scheme happens over the course of the episode. So that, when you went from one point where she seemed really powerful, and now when you see her, she's just gone completely insane. That blue now is just surrounding her. And it changes the whole way her character sort of looks and feels. So I think it was really intentional.
No, you're probably right, because as she gets more mentally ill, you're right, the fire changes color and becomes less warm and more cold, and thus it probably not as strong either.
Yeah, God, it was brilliant. That airship battle with Sokka.
Yeah, God, the ship's hitting... I'm just going to sound like a 5-year-old now, but when the ships are hitting the other ships and they're jumping off of the ships and everything, oh my God, it was incredible.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else in this episode apart from Mark Hamill being awesome and
everybody being awesome.
I am calling you out on that one moment though, where you tried to compare it to DBZ, and I'm like, no, honey.
Oh no, yeah, no. When the Fire
you
Lord
did not just compare this to DBZ.
The Fire Lord comes, stands on the mountain, and Aang is there. He stands on the mountain, and he's like glowing fire inside. Just said, next time on Dragon Ball Z, and you're just like, you motherfucker.
No, do not bring that up here. This is too good.
But no, I'm blown away, man. And this is only part one. I mean,
Oh, the music. Okay, that was the one last thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to say.
Okay.
The music, probably some of the best music in the whole series is right in these last 2 episodes. Spoiler alert: the music's going to be good in the last episode too. Hope I didn't ruin it for Doug.
You've been reading the comments heavy, haven't you?
Oh, they're great. You know what I love? You don't even remember what I supposedly spoiled. That's the beauty of it.
No, I don't. What'd you spoil?
I don't remember.
Oh,
like, how dare you give it away? And I'm like, I know him.
Well,
He's
shame
not
on
going to
you.
remember it 1 episode later. So
shame on you.
Yeah.
If only I watch my stuff as much as
I think it had something to do with Sozin's comment. That's all I remember. But
it comes.
But yeah, the music in this episode and the music in the next episode are incredible. Particularly the battle music. I love this thing they've got going with Ozai when he's jumping towards Aang, and then you got these like little psycho strings like this, and then when it cuts to the battle between Azula and Zuko, the music there is just gorgeous. It like just takes this sort of otherworldly, like it just elevates itself. It's like, no, we're just gonna do something sort of calm and just sad. It's just very sad.
Well, yeah, and they turn down the sound for when they're actually doing the fire and the screaming and the yelling and stuff like that, which was very smart. And I think the reason it works so effective here as well is that you're gonna cut to the loud stuff and the explosions and so where the music's a touch more muted, so you can go back and forth, and it's a great contrast.
Yeah, because Aang and Ozai is a very loud battle, and Sokka and Suki and Toph, that's a loud battle.
Yeah, so it's great to have this more quiet one in there.
It's a good trick though. I see it used sometimes, and it's really effective. Because I think there's some similarities. To me, it reminds me of that bit in Return of the Jedi where Luke faces off against Vader, where Luke goes nuts, and then the music just takes over entirely to the point that there is lightsaber sounds, but it's like they tuned it down a bit and let the music just take over. And they do something similar here, and it really, really works.
And again, I think
separates that scene.
I think that really works in something like this where there's a couple climaxes going on, so they can really offset each other. If that was it, I say, wow, that was ballsy, that was a risky move. It's like, this is the big climax. I want my testosterone-filled stuff. Come on with the explosion sounds and stuff. By having them all going on at the same time, I think you just have this. You sort of satisfy everybody. Yeah, and then the last other thing I'll say, just because it was cool, when Toph made the Iron Man suit, that was cool.
I have to. Okay, I'm not calling bullshit, but there's one thing that I'm not sure if they addressed it, but when she does that, I'm kind of like, metal conducts heat. Is she is there some cutscene where she comes to a complete stop and then they bend open the metal and she's completely roasted up?
Look, if they can freeze water, she can cool metal.
I guess that's the argument I'm making. It from the inside out. Yeah, it doesn't wreck it. It's a kid show, but I always look at that.
You can't really jump from blip to blip either, but it's like
man, if I put a pan over an open flame, it doesn't take long before it's like, and they're like blasting fire left and right in there, and I'm like. Yeah, but it's like, it's like who gives a shit? It was awesome. I think the one last little thing, maybe this was just me, but the scene where Ozai unleashes hellfire upon the Earth Kingdom, that hurt. Every time I've seen that like 2 or 3 times, and every time I just cringe like, oh, douchebag. Because you've just gotten to know these kingdoms and the characters and the spirit world and the animals, and he's just fucking laying waste to it.
You know what? It's okay, though, because at least one member of the Fire Nation got his birthday acknowledged, and I think that makes it all okay. How did he know it was my birthday?
That's my favorite scene, and that's the fact that it works. Yeah. And it's a plan that is so stupid, it just has to work.
That's a Sokka moment. I was saying, they're sort of trying to teach. Yeah, they're trying to teach him the sword. I'm just like, great, but they're like, oh, what's Sokka good for? I'm like, he's good for a lot of things. What's this? Oh, he does nothing. It's like it's that great out of the box thinking.
He's always good at thinking on his feet.
Yeah,
so I've tried to take out that entire crew one by one and bend them to death, and he's like, I got this. It's a great.
Now they'll probably drown.
Yeah, that always makes me mad. I was like, they're all wearing metal suits of armor.
Water is just like fluffy pillows in cartoons now. I mean, it's like no reaction when you hit the water. Everyone can swim to shore wherever they are. So
can't make an omelet without breaking a few firebenders.
Yeah, that's cartoons. So, so
where do you think it's going?
I have no idea how he's going to get rid of the Fire Lord. The only thing I could think of, in my head, I was just like, well, maybe if you, cut off the limbs or something, but I'm like, they're not going to do that.
You were telling me that, and I was laughing.
I'm like, but I know they're not going to do that.
Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin and Ozai's just like, I hate you!
Convinces
you did
him,
that yourself.
Or convinces him to somehow knock himself out. It's like, I don't know how you would restrain the guy. Maybe there's a way, put him in rocks or something. It's like, I don't know.
Put him in
rocks. He can do the rock thing. When he got himself covered in the rock, I thought maybe Ozai was just gonna keep throwing fire. Oh, I'm tired. Just gonna pass out or something. It's like I don't know how they're gonna resolve it, and I really like that. I like not knowing. So yeah, I'm excited. I can't believe there's one more left.
Oh, because I hate you, I'm just gonna give it away.
La 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 la.